Okay, Matt. Super Bowl weekend has concluded. That means it's our last podcast talking about the 22-23 NFL season. And at least, football fans and everyone watching were rewarded with a good game. Um I know it
Hmm.
was like,
The most important thing.
yeah, we were, on a run for a while. We were just blessed with such great Super Bowls. Then you had that like Patriots Rams one where it was like 9-6 or whatever. Uh, just a punt fest. But last year was a good one too. So maybe we'll get back in this trend of seeing really exciting Super Bowl games. But we'll get to everything. We'll talk about the game. We'll talk about Rihanna, of course. I mean the commercials. I thought they were all right. Like I felt like they've been better in years past. I wasn't like too like, oh, that was a really funny, or oh, that was a really good commercial. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like companies are paying millions of dollars and they're putting out like some of those. I was like, really? That's what you want to put out there? Okay. Um, yeah, but we can talk about that. Let's just get right into the game, Matt. So both off on our predictions, unfortunately. At least for the
Small cotton.
score. For the score, no one except Nate Burleson from NFL Network saw a 38-35 game. I didn't think that many points were going to be scored. I thought, you know, we might see a few points, but 38-35, yeah, did not see that one coming. Um, but I ended this playoff run. I think I only had one incorrect guess during these playoffs. I picked the Vikings. So,
And you picked the Bills. You had two.
oh, I had two. Oh yeah, the Bengals.
Two.
Okay, I had two.
Can't let you get on cloud nine too
So,
much.
well, still pretty good. Uh, did better than you anyway. So,
I
uh,
started strong and then faded at the end. But it's all because of the Cowboys, I just go as they go.
typical. But let's get into the game. We'll talk about some of the key moments first here. So, you know, we'll start off with the fumble, Jalen Hurts' fumble. I mean, just a tough sequence of events there for the Eagles, right? They were up 14-7. The Chiefs could not
They're yeah.
stop.
They were on the move
Yeah,
again.
could not stop the Eagles' offense at all. I mean, they were just doing whatever they wanted offensively. Through Jalen Hurts, you know, AJ Brown had that big catch as well, and it was like, man, I don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to stop them. And they're going to need a stop here, right? And lo and behold, it took a Jalen Hurts fumble for a touchdown, and just a really uncharacteristic mistake from Jalen Hurts. He had a great game, obviously, but it's not even like he got hit or stripped.
He like
He
he
just
like just dropped
he
it at
dropped it,
to some point.
trying to change hands, so that he would switch it to his
Switch it to
other
the
hand.
outside.
It would have been the safer hand. It's just, for whatever reason the ball slipped. It was, he was right about to get hit too. I don't know if that played a factor in it, but that I thought was a huge swing point in the game because, like we are saying, Philly had all the momentum. Uh Kansas City had missed a field goal and they just punted, and it's like, oh man, like it might be a long day for Kansas City, right? But that kind of kept them in the game. And to Philadelphia's credit though, even with that momentum that just flipped, they came right back, scored another touchdown, and the defense held out again, and it was a 10-point game at the half. And I'm thinking like, um, all right, Kansas City, you have the ball first. It's imperative you get points, coming out in the second half. And
Not even, I wouldn't say points. Like they needed to score a touchdown with the way that the Eagles are moving the ball. They could not stop them. Like 3 points doesn't really do anything to me. No offense. Like they had to get 7 to change the momentum. And give credit to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, but they went boom, boom, boom right down the field. 24-21 is a lot different than 24-17 with the way
Yeah.
of the first half game flow to me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I thought at least giving you points gives your defense a chance to, you know, rebound a little bit, right? They were gonna make adjustments obviously going into the locker room. At least getting points, um, I feel like it you keep it a one score game. I don't know. I don't think they needed a touchdown. Obviously, a touchdown helped a lot and it made the game feel a lot closer, but the Chiefs defense, to their credit, I thought did a better job in the second half. Um, held finally held them to a field goal and actually got a three and out, which was surprising. I think that was like the only three and out the Eagles had all game. And it came in the second half at a pretty big time. So give a little bit of credit to Steve Spagnuolo there, for making the adjustments that he had to make. But let's get to the other key plays. You know, uh, like I was saying in last week's episode, right?
Oh, here we
I
go.
felt.
Here we go. He's gonna
I
say
mean, I'm just saying, like it's literally what I said, right? It's gonna come down to a special teams play, kickoff, punt return, right? I thought it was gonna be Sky Moore back there, but sure enough, Kadarius Tony over from the Giants. I'm sure Giants fans were having a great time seeing him, make plays for Kansas City, but it came down to it, right? Um, just that's why you need to play all three phases. And the team that can do that doesn't turn the ball over usually, or at least more times than not, will come away with the win. So, I just felt like these teams honestly were pretty evenly matched. And usually, you know, when the offense and the defense, line play, weapons, quarterbacks, are usually pretty equal. It comes down to the little things, like I said. And, you know, since we're gonna talk about the Kadarius Tony punt returns, and it was the what I believe longest punt return
longest punt return in
in the
Super Bowl
Super Bowl.
history.
Yeah. I'll give a little bit of love here to our boy Marcus Kemp because he was a special teams player. He's been a special teams player for the Chiefs. Uh in and out of the active lineup, practice squad. He floats around, but hey man, to his credit, he was the one leading the charge. And a lot of the Chiefs kingdom fans, acknowledge that. The real diehard Chiefs guys, um, on social media or even like this blog post that I saw from Kansas City Chiefs, like fan service, I guess. They acknowledged him, and I went back and watched the play a couple times, and he took out effectively
He
like
took down two
six
guys.
people.
Yeah.
I mean, because like one of his blocks like led to three other guys tripping over that
Yeah.
one guy that fell
Yeah.
down. So like one block basically led to four. And I was looking at it again. I think Tony, if he cuts it back, had a chance to score. I mean, it doesn't matter. They were inside the 10, basically at the five anyway. But gotta show love to UH alum whenever we can. So I'm happy for Marcus. He has his ring now. I don't remember if he was on the active
Yeah,
roster
two,
when they
right?
won. Was he on the active roster though? I wasn't sure. That was the only thing. I know he was a part of the
He was on the
team, but I
team,
don't
right?
know if do practice squad players get a ring? Like I wasn't sure of that.
I thought so, right? I
Do
mean, they're
they?
on the team. I don't know. I would
I
think so.
no, yeah, see that's why I wasn't sure, but I
Because like
I know he
Meek,
played in this one and
right.
participated. So,
So like for example, Miko Hartman was out this game, but he's gonna get a ring.
oh, but that I mean
So it's like,
injury reserve
yeah. But he
is
wasn't
not
on the roster
yeah, but it's
technically.
not the same as like the like being a practice squad player. Anyway, because of that, Marcus Kemp got to get called up, and helped lead to a key play for the Chiefs. So congrats to him. So I mean, it was a back and forth game. It was really exciting. Not a lot of defense being played, and we'll get to that. But I guess we have to talk about the holding call on James Bradberry, right?
The play of the game.
Effectively one of the plays of the game, and it did pretty much bail out Kansas City on that drive, help them get 6 instead of 3, right? And I don't know, Matt. I've been seeing a lot, and my initial reaction to how I feel now, it's swayed a little bit. Because I'm really trying to think of it objectively, and I don't know. It's tough. I want to hear your comments on that play first, because my thinking like shifted a little bit over the past day.
I think when everything kind of settled down, you kind of take a deep breath, kind of really analyze the play and really how the game was played out. My conclusion is they made the wrong call. Yes, it was holding by rule. Bradbury did hold him. But if you go back and you watch the film, he did that earlier in the game too. I think it was Valdez Scantling or maybe Juju. I want to say it was Valdez Scantling. Like the maybe second quarter. It was a very questionable call. Bradbury had his hand on his jersey. There was no flag thrown. Uh, Kansas City doesn't cover a third down. So the refs didn't call it then, but they called it in that late game situation. So my thing is, okay, if you're gonna dictate the flow of the game, not a lot of penalties being thrown, that's fine, but just keep that consistent throughout the game. And I just think with the way that they were calling the game for the first 3 quarters, there wasn't a lot of ticky tack fouls being called. And that to me, with the way the refs were calling the game, shouldn't have been a flag. But if you want to be really technical about it, yes, it was a flag because he did hold him. But my point is the refs weren't calling it earlier in the game, so why should they call it now? Just because the moment is bigger? Like you got to be consistent as a ref from kickoff to the last play of the game. And unfortunately, that it just wasn't the case. To me, the refs actually did a great job throughout the whole game, but it was just that one call that they weren't consistent with the way they were calling the game. So unfortunate, but that's kind of what I saw and kind of interpreted with that flag.
Yeah, so I mean, like you and like a lot of people, the initial reaction, I mean, even though I was cheering for the Chiefs, right? I was like, "Oh, that's a tough
Same.
flag to call, right?" In that situation. Like you said, it hadn't really been called all game. And so yeah, it was just surprising to see that flag come out in that moment. Um Obviously I'm not gonna blame the entire loss on that play, right? Uh the Eagles had a lot of chances on defense to stop Kansas City in the second half, couldn't do it once. And they probably even get 3 out of that drive anyway, effectively. Um and so who knows what happens from there. So I'm not going to say, "Oh, the Eagles lost because of this call." Right? I'm going to say that first. And you can ask the Eagles players, you know, Sirianni as well. No one's going to pin it on that one call. Was it a big play? Of course. All right? But it's not like they lost just because of they were quote unquote robbed. But I don't know. I've looked at the play a little bit more today, and thought about the narrative that, oh, it's a big moment. You don't want refs deciding the game in big moments. That's true. Um, but it's almost to the point where we say like let them play, right? Let the players decide, and that
Exactly.
I agree. I agree.
That's what they were
But
doing the whole rest of the other game
but
or the rest of the game.
I watched the play back, and it's like the angle that was constantly shown, right? You don't really see the tug necessarily, because it's like we're seeing the viewpoint of like Juju, right? Or sorry, was it Juju? It was, right?
It was Juju.
So
Yeah.
we're seeing like his front side, and Bradbury's on the back, so you don't see the like the hold as well. Um But in that moment, you've got to. I was thinking, right? It's almost like a clear path foul in the NBA, right? Um, Even a little tug just to slow down a little bit of momentum is going to affect the play. And that was, a potential scoring play. And I, the thing that was kind of coming back to me was the infamous Roby Coleman hit, the Rams Saints one. And effectively, the refs let it play a little bit too much, right? And resulted
That
in.
was a little more obvious, I
Yeah,
think.
I mean, I'm right. I agree with you. It's a little more obvious, but you know, it's almost like the refs really wanted to stay out of it. You know, wanted to let the players determine the game. But sometimes when you don't call it, it it's like you're not doing the game justice. And so, if to me, if the ref saw a hold, he saw a hold. A flag should be thrown anytime he sees a hold. Maybe they missed it earlier in the game, and that's something Andy Reid is saying, like, "Hey, he's pulling on my guy, right? Ref, be watching for this. They're tugging on him, you know." And we know that happens. Like it happens in basketball, can happen in football, right? Refs start to look a little bit more. They get influenced a little bit more. So I don't think it was a bad call. I think in that moment, if the ref sees it, then he should call it regardless. He if he thought it was a hold, he thought it was a hold. Like we said, the refs had done well the whole game, right? And that leads me doesn't lead me to believe that they were trying to interfere with the game at all, right? If it was poor officiating, like both sides or even one team favored the whole game, right? Then of course I'm gonna say, oh yeah, you know they just had a terrible game. The NFL needs to do something about this, blah blah blah. But like you said, the refs and like a lot of people thought the refs did pretty well up until that one moment, And so to me, that just shows they were paying attention. They were pretty locked in. If they thought it was a hold, then they thought it was a hold through the flag. It was an unfortunate, play for the Eagles and Eagles fans. It doesn't look like much, but um I don't know. To me, in that moment, I've kind of, calmed down a little bit, and I don't, I would defer to the ref's judgment there. That's all I'll say on that. So, thought it was a hold. He thought it was a hold, Matt. I know people might
I'm
not like it,
let's
but
just say I'm not complaining because I'm glad the Chiefs won.
yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about some of the surprising, you know, narratives of this game. Let's get to the Chiefs O line first. Let's give them a lot of credit, right? We were talking about it was going to be the trenches play coming into this, and the Chiefs gave up no sacks, right? Hassan Reddick, we thought
Easy.
was gonna be a real difference maker in this one, and I think it goes to three groups really. I mean, one, the O line, obviously. Two, the coaching staff of the Chiefs, Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, did a good job of game planning to help Patrick Mahomes get the ball out fast, and of course, to Patrick Mahomes for adjusting his play style and getting the ball out fast. I mean, it was like a Tom Brady offense in that second half, right? They're running the ball, he's getting the ball out fast, and like I said, Matt, he's evolved. You know, like I was talking about before, that's why I thought the Chiefs were going to win because their offense evolved to not needing the home run anymore. They don't need to beat you vertically down the field. Even to Andy Reid's credit, you always say it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, right? To his credit, the old Andy Reid, even the Eagles fans would complain about this all the time. They don't run the ball enough. They're too pass happy, you know? But hey, Andy Reid, something, you know, clicked for him and he made the adjustment. They ran the ball just as well as they threw the ball in this game. And that's probably, you know, the turning point I thought. Um in that second half, they started to get, good chunks on first and second down. And then the Eagles had no answer because they had so many tools or so many different weapons um, and plays they can go on third down and really made it hard on that Eagles defense. So I just got to show love to those three guys, man, because no sacks against the was it the league leader in sacks? Man,
Yeah, they were getting comparisons to the 85 Bears defense. Like that's how good you could say the Eagles were this year. To me, that's a lot of phony baloney talk, but you got to give them credit. I mean, Hassan Reddick has probably had a great year in the defensive player of the year conversation. You got Fletcher Cox up there still, so you got Pro Bowl caliber rushers, and to allow no sacks, that's that's pretty impressive. You said that you give credit to 3 units. You got to give credit to four. I think you got to give credit to the Chiefs front office because if you look at the last time they were in the Super Bowl when they played Tampa, when Brady won that last Super Bowl, his seventh, what was the story in that game? Tampa Bay's pass rush was just hellacious, right? Kansas City had all those injuries up front, playing with a backup O line in the Super Bowl, and you pretty much got what you expected. There was no run game. Andy Reid didn't run the ball. He refused to run the ball, was always looking deep. Patrick Mahomes was under constant pressure. And what did they do? They draft Creed Humphrey in next year's draft. They trade for Orlando Brown, right? First round pick. Like they just bolstered that offensive line overnight. And it's a night and day switch from the last time they played in the Super Bowl. And to their credit, they ran the ball. What do we always say about how to control a pass rush? It's a lot easier for a lineman to run block than pass block because they have leverage. And when you got a running back like Pacheco, who probably runs as hard as any back in the league, you got to get him some touches. And I think he had, I want to say, 15 carries,
15 for 76,
76 and a touchdown.
five
Like
5 yards a carry. That's solid.
that's gonna work. You'll take that if you're Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense. You'll take that. So got to give credit to me, to the front office, for recognizing that that was a weakness. Why they lost the Super Bowl 1 year, and they've made that adjustment. And 2 years, 3 years later, they're back on top.
I like that. I like that. Give credit where credit is due. Um, yeah, congrats to the Chiefs. Like we said, and then just going on Andy Reid as well. Before I want to give the Eagles some credit too, but Andy Reid, the two motion plays that he ran
Oh,
at
that
the goal
was
line for
beautiful.
touchdown.
Wow.
I
I
mean,
was
I
blown away.
like, I don't really. I feel like it's so hard to see on the field. Like I get when you have the coordinators up top, right? They can see the whole thing, but I just maybe I didn't realize how good Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy as well, that staff for recognizing how Philly started to play all the motions, right? And because when a guy is that wide open, it's either one of two things, right? It's a complete bust, like the defensive player didn't know their assignment, or just out schemed, right? And so both those times, it didn't look like real communication error on the defense, but it was really just that offensive staff recognized what the Eagles secondary were doing on those motions and just out thought them, right? They were a chess move ahead. And I was just blown away. I was like, wow, I can't believe they schemed up something at the goal line. And they did it twice to get
Twice.
guys wide
Once
open.
on opposite side.
Yep. Wide open for crucial touchdowns, in that second half. I was just like, man, that is just so impressive to me. I don't know how you can see that from the sideline. I don't know how you're noticing that, but I guess, I mean, that's why I picked the Chiefs, right? It was Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. And yeah, credit to those plays because I was just blown away. And second half, yeah, Mr. Mahomes, Mr. Efficient in this one, 96 QBR, only threw for 180 yards, but 3 touchdowns, and more importantly, no turnovers, no sacks. Um, but bum ankle. Couldn't even tell he was really on a bum ankle. I mean, he looked really good moving in the pocket, just buying enough time sliding. Like he looked like Brady in the pocket, just the little motions that you need, just buying yourself a little bit more time. And then of course the 25 or whatever yard run it was at the end of the game on a bum ankle. I don't even know if it was a bum ankle at that point. I know he was hobbling
It's
before
all
that.
adrenaline at that point.
Yeah. So I just gotta give credit where credit is due. Patrick Mahomes, man, just so impressive. And I think he has a real chance. When his career is said and done, probably be one of the all-time greats, like up there with Peyton, uh, Tom Brady, Montana, Marino, Elway, all those guys. He'll probably be in that conversation because he already has 2 rings now. You get one, you're a pretty solidified, respected quarterback. You'll always be talked about, right, in NFL history. Once you get to two, those 2 win Super Bowl quarterbacks get a little bit more recognition than the other ones. So he's already at 2. He's not even 30 years old yet. Um, yeah, we're
27
we're gonna
is
be seeing a
crazy.
lot of Mr. Mahomes for a long, long time, and everyone better get used to it. All right. Well, since we're talking about quarterbacks, though, Matt, I know you're not a big Eagles guy, obviously, but I think we both have to acknowledge uh, the talent and ability of Jalen Hurts. And I mean, hey, I had him as my second best quarterback, right? Did I not? I did have him as my second best quarterback. Why? Because of his legs and 15 carries, 70 yards, not to mention 3 touchdowns and the new most unstoppable play in football, the Eagles quarterback sneak to get 1.5 yards, right, Matt? I mean, it's impossible to
I
stop.
don't know how they do it.
I don't know how, but it's
Everybody
just
knows it's coming too.
it's
That's
coming.
how you know it's good.
It's coming. And Chris Jones, he even hit him one time, but it didn't even matter. Like he just gets pushed. Like that's the 600-pound squats coming in right there. You know. But man, props to Jalen Hurts. I'm sure that one play, his fumble is gonna be haunting him for a while this offseason. But hey, he has no reason to hang his head. I mean, 300 yards through the air, 70 yards on the ground, 4 total touchdowns. He was making the throws that he needed to make. He had a couple ones to Goddard that I thought were like perfect balls. Props
Yeah.
to Dallas Goddard as well for catching them. But the balls he was making to Devontae, the deep bomb he had to AJ. I mean, just you know, I think he maybe I'm not too sure how you feel, but I think he showed to you, Matt. He can throw it on the biggest stage when he has to.
Yeah, so I wore the shirt right now on purpose because I have to concede that Jalen Hurts, he's the best quarterback in the NFC East. So I wore my little Dak and Zeke shirt, rookies. But yeah, he's the real deal. I will say, runner up in the MVP this year. I can't argue against him now. Like he showed up in the big moment and he passed, and that's the thing, right? We always knew he could run,
And they took away
but
the run,
his pass, yeah, they did. I mean, well, except him, but
except him.
he was the run game, honestly. But 300 yards passing in the Super Bowl with no interceptions, that that'll work. Do I think some of the throws were a little off? Yeah, like that touchdown to AJ Brown. To me, it wasn't a great throw. That was just terrible defense
And
and
a better
a
better
great
wide
play by
receiver.
AJ Brown. Yeah, but to me, mostly bad defense. But he did, like you said, those throws to Goddard. I think his best throw of the game, probably that third down and 14th conversion to
The
Goddard, right on
corner.
the sideline. Threw it right over the corner, dropped it in the lap of Goddard
I thought it was incomplete too,
between
but I
two
was like,
guys. I was like, oh my goodness, okay. I know my quarterback can't do that. He would throw a pick six. But I mean, just things like that is what elevates you to me to be that next level quarterback. And Jalen Hurts has definitely earned that right. So hey, I'm an objective fan, so I have to concede that he he earned my respect in this game. Unfortunately, he's in my division. I have to see him twice a year, so I'm not looking forward to that.
yeah, you're gonna have to see him. Um, and I know we already talked about it, but yeah, the Eagles defense. Uh, I'm sure I don't know if you have anything more to say about them, but
Yeah, they're phony. They're fake defense. They're like a fake tough defense. Kind of like, yeah, Nick Sirianni. He's like a fake tough guy. Like this is why they had all these hype on paper. It's like they couldn't even deliver a stop out of the end zone. They just had to hold them to a field goal. They couldn't stop the Chiefs at all, right? Darius Slay, James Bradberry, you got all these guys. Hassan Reddick, where were you? Fletcher Cox, where were you? Like nothing. 38 points, probably could have gave up more to be honest. And oh, I forgot. They gave up 40 points to Dallas. So I mean, there's a lot of things that are it's vulnerable. And I think like Skip and Shannon talked about this today, but this is why teams can beat the Eagles. Their offense is tough with Jalen Hurts evolving, but you can put up numbers on this defense. And I think there's a chink in their armor now, I think. So I'm ready for next year's football season.
I don't think their
Because
record is going to be as good next
this
season because if I'm being honest, like objectively, they didn't have the toughest strength to schedule going against the NFC this year. And even in the playoffs, I mean, they didn't play against a quarter, they played against a QB4 and then a
Daniel
QB5.
Jones.
I mean, Daniel Jones, but I'm talking about, the Niners, right? They lost Brock
Yeah.
Purdy and then it's just key in on the run, right? But
Yeah, they played
uh
quarterback Christian McCaffrey.
yeah, but the Eagles offense for sure. I would put a futures bet in for Jalen Hurts as MVP for next season because I think yeah, he's the real deal. And I think he'll put up some monster numbers next year as well. So I guess a couple other things we want to talk about the Super Bowl. The arena grass or turf, like what the heck was going on? I was like trying to listen to it. I mean, everyone's talking, and I'm trying to focus on the game itself. But like, yeah, what was up with all the slipping and stuff going on, Matt? Like, it was
That's just a
noticeably
bad
bad,
look.
noticeably bad.
It was so bad. Jalen Hurts had to change his cleats first quarter to second quarter,
Yeah.
and it was like almost like praying, like please nobody get like a Odell injury last year, right?
Oh
A
yeah.
non-contact injury. I was like, please to God, nobody get hurt like that,
Hmm.
especially someone important.
Yeah.
One of the
Oh
quarterbacks,
man, that would have just taken all the
receiver, like
air out of the
just
game.
you don't want an injury with a non-contact injury like that. So
Yeah. It's
I don't know.
almost
The
like
NFL has to do something about that.
last year because it was almost too hard, right? Like that's when the ACL injuries happen, when the turf isn't forgiving, right? There's no give. So like, you know, if you hit it something a wrong way, instead of the grass going, all that impact goes to your joints and your muscles and
Hmm.
your tendons, right? Kind of what happened to Odell. It's like this year was the complete opposite. Like there's too much give. There's so much give. I was just like, okay, no one's getting hurt. So everyone's going to be able to just slide, you'll slide with the momentum all over the place. But then it affected the game. So they just got to find like the balance where it's like, it's strong enough. Guys can still cut and do all these things, but not so hard that it's going to, obviously negatively affect their health or anything like that. But yeah, just, yeah, weird look. But then, you know what? Hey, let's round it off with, the most watched part of the game, by the way. Rihanna's halftime show got like 5 million more viewers than the entire Super Bowl did itself. So we got to talk about the bad girl, right? And
Bad girl Riri.
yeah. So I don't know, Matt. Thoughts on the performance? I thought the songs were great. I liked the floating stage stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. Uh, the dancers, I mean, the background dancers are always gonna be whatever they are, right? Like, I don't I remember the weekends one was pretty insane. Like, it is what it is with the background dancers. You're not there to watch them per se. Um, but I think it was not bad. I wasn't disappointed. I don't think I was disappointed at all. You know, I feel like Rihanna's just songs and her performing ability, and she sounds good live as well. So I don't think I was disappointed there. And maybe I was expecting more dancing, but I guess it's hard to do when you're pregnant, right? And so,
I guess we can confirm that she's having another kid.
yeah, yeah, ASAP Rocky is locked in, man. He's in there. He's focused. He got his eyes on the prize. But no, I mean, I thought it was a solid performance. I wouldn't put it in the top tier. It probably could have been, but um I mean, you probably just want to see a little more movement, a little more dancing out of right, whoever it is. that's performing. And I mean, she was pregnant, so I mean, you can't really help it. Not knocking her for that, obviously, but I would say I would give it a solid like seven out of
7 out
10,
of 10.
seven and a
Yeah.
half out of 10. If I was a bigger Rihanna fan, I'd probably give it a little bit higher score. But I thought she sang really well. I liked some of the effects. Wasn't too nothing too like weird or crazy. Like with the camera thing. Like the weekends one, it was like a little bit like well,
It's
it was
getting a
kind of
little
a lot,
nauseous with
right?
that.
Yeah. Just with all the angles. So she didn't try to do too much. It was like pretty clean, pretty simple, standard. I thought if she brought out a guest, like a surprise guest, that would have been really cool, right? Like she has Jay-Z on a lot of songs. I was like, dude, maybe Jay-Z's gonna come up, start rapping. That would have been super lit. Even if Rocky just came out and started like singing something with her, I would have been like, oh, this is dope. Um, but yeah, I guess that's the one thing I thought was lacking. Like I was kind of waiting, like, oh, maybe she's gonna bring out someone, like maybe someone's gonna come up, and then no one ended up coming up. So that was probably the biggest thing I was a little disappointed by.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. Like, I think what would have made this a little better, and it's kind of unfortunate because she is pregnant, but I like to see performers, in this Super Bowl halftime show. You got to have a person that can sing, but also can dance to me, make the performance. And Rihanna, she can. It's just a little hard when you're carrying a child in your belly.
Yeah, and she's like pretty
So,
like she's not just early on. It was like a
yeah,
pretty
it's
visible,
pretty,
pretty
yeah.
visible
Once I
bump.
kind of noticed it, I was like, oh, yeah, she's gonna
Yeah.
see it. But I think it's kind of like a what if thing. Like, obviously the music was great. I loved it. But if she was able to dance, I think I would say it had the potential to be one of the all-time greats.
Oh, for sure.
Was it one of the worst? No, absolutely not. I wasn't disappointed at all. But like you said, I wanted to see a guest come out. So maybe I'm a victim of Twitter, but I was seeing like, oh, what if she brings out Tom Holland and he does the umbrella dance when she sings
Oh,
Umbrella,
like
like how he was
the lip
on Lip
sync.
Sync. Yeah. So I was like, oh my God. If she did that, that would have been like she would have won the Super Bowl halftime contest with that for me. But yeah, weird that she didn't bring out like Drake. I was kind of maybe Drake would come out.
It's like
Obviously,
Drake,
Jay-Z was
Jay-Z. I was
there.
like, man, they're all there. Like, come on.
Yeah,
I thought
she
one of them
she had the
maybe.
potential, but I mean the her singing was she still got it. She still got it, and I don't know. That might be the last time we see her perform.
Yeah, that's true. Hopefully we'll get
So
to see her again.
yeah,
I don't
but
know where
yeah,
this.
I'm gonna make a statement though. Like for next year, they gotta have Dua Lipa. That's my proposal to the NFL. Listen to me, NFL. Dua Lipa would be perfect because she can sing and she can dance.
Okay, Matt's a big Dua Lipa guy. I was not expecting. I
Yeah,
was expecting like a
she would be
country
perfect.
country boy or
No,
something.
that you need a performer. You
Okay,
need a
okay.
performer too. I'm sticking with my Super Bowl requirement for halftime shows.
Yeah. Oh, that would be interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean she has some bangers too, right? And she's the type of artist, it's like she like all her music is good, but she makes like the global hit music, right? Like
Exactly. So
everyone knows the type
everybody
of music.
knows.
Yeah. 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 All right. Well, I don't know. It was a pretty good Super Bowl. I was pleased. I was entertained. I thought it was a really good way to end this year. And guess we just gotta wait. You know, 7 more months now till football starts again. So the long spring and summer will commence. But we'll get to a break here. Come back, talk basketball. Do our draft. But thanks everyone for listening. We'll get to a quick break and we'll be right back. Okay, so now that football is done, we got to get right into basketball, Matt. You know, crazy week of trades. I wasn't expecting this hectic of a trade deadline. We talked about the Kyrie one. Um, it's going okay right now. I think they had a little weird situation for them. They lost tonight, but we got to get to the big bomb. Probably the biggest sham slash Woj bomb of the season so far, and that is Kevin Durant being traded to the Phoenix Suns. So he is yet to make his debut with them, but man, I mean, if we're talking playoff implications, right? First for the Suns, this this move you would imagine has to make them probably the favorite, right, to come out of the West now.
in the West. Yeah.
I mean, you look at their team. I know the Nuggets are still the first seed, and the Mavs loaded up, but um, I mean, it's Kevin Durant, right? You add Kevin Durant to any team, that team becomes pretty much an instant contender. Only a couple guys in the league you can uh say that about. Kevin Durant obviously being one of them, but to go to a team like the Suns, and for the Suns to be able to hold on to Aiton, Booker, and Chris Paul, man, you want to talk about win now mode, right? The new owner, he's putting his money where his mouth is, right? I
Buys
mean,
the team and just starts spending.
and they're going for it. So if I do, they do lose a little bit of key role player depth, obviously, right? Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. I don't think Jay Crowder was playing with them anyway, but uh I mean, those are two pretty important pieces, right? That are gonna come down to it in the playoffs. But I mean, when you have a chance to get a guy like Kevin Durant, you're gonna do what you can to get them. But that starting lineup now, I think, if they go with Chris Paul, Book, Durant. I think they did get TJ Warren as well. Bubble TJ Warren always has a chance to make an appearance, right? And then DeAndre Ayton, you're gonna imagine, right? They're not gonna rely on their bench too much come playoff time. If those guys are all healthy, those guys are each getting probably 30 plus minutes a game. They're four. We'll have to see who's gonna play that other forward spot, but man, that is a lethal team offensively. Um, they can just probably put up points. And the reason I think this trade can work is because KD is going to a place with another elite point guard, but not just a scoring first point guard. A guy in CP that high basketball IQ, one of the highest active in the game right now. He's gonna know how to get Booker his shots and Durant his shots. And now, you know, you can't really double team Book. You can't really double team Durant. It's just gonna open up that whole offense. And I think the West should be pretty scared, come playoff time, because that is going to be a team with all the answers on offense. My only question is, defensively, people don't talk about Kevin Durant's defense enough, but he is a top defensive player in this league as well. It's not like he doesn't play defense. I don't know if people don't like to acknowledge that as much, but he is an elite defender at 7 feet. Can move his feet as well. But man, Matt, I don't know. Phew, that's a scary trade. What was your initial
Offense.
reaction?
Well, offensively, I think we can say probably the best on paper.
Yeah,
Don't think anyone's really gonna stop them, but I got two things that I would say concern me. Is one, you already touched on it, is defense. So with that, you could say big four. You got Chris Paul, Devin Booker, KD, and Aiton. I still need a guy who's gonna be an on-ball defender. And all four of those guys, especially with Chris Paul now, late
I
in the
think
career,
KD is probably
like,
going to be their
do
best
you
on
want
ball
Kevin
defender.
Durant on ball defending? Because he can't exert all that energy on
That's
offense now.
true.
Maybe he doesn't need to with
Probably for the
Booker,
key stops, it's going to
but
be him as a primary
I
defender.
just think that loss. I mean, you had to give it up, but Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges, those are the two on ball defenders, and Jay Crowder if he was playing on the roster. So they technically lost three of them. So are you gonna ask KD to play a little bit more on ball defense against guys like Luca, LeBron? If LeBron Lakers get into the playoffs, those big wings. Like, is KD ready to just carry the load at this point? I don't know. I've never seen KD have to carry the load like that. So it'll be very interesting. But probably the most important to me is health. This team, look, they're not even healthy right now. But who's to say that come playoff time, they're all going to be healthy? Booker is just coming back from an injury. He's still kind of playing into form. Chris Paul has a history of getting injured in the playoffs. He's old now, too. And KD, obviously, he's battling through injuries right now. So It's a lot of what ifs to me, and without any of those four, you're not winning the play. You're not winning the championship. So are they going to be able to stay healthy and get through this regular season? That's going to be a big key to me. But yeah, I think barring health, they'll at least be in the Western Conference Finals. At least. It's all Ja Morant's fault. I mean, he was the one that opened his mouth and said he's not worried about anyone in the West. And boom, here comes the trade for Kyrie. Boom, KD's traded.
Man, something about the Grizzlies, man. They went from like the exciting, young, gritty team to like the villains now. You know, especially your boy
Oh yeah,
Dylan Brooks, man. Like, man, even his like how he plays and when he rolled onto
I liked
Donovan
him at
Mitchell's ankle.
Oregon. Let me say that I
Okay.
liked him at Oregon.
Yeah, man. I mean, I know
He's
he's a
not a fan of
great
LeBron, so I'm gonna lay off of that.
like he's a great defender and he can put up points, don't get me wrong, but man, it's like every incident that happens on the team, it's him, you know? And I didn't like the rolling on Donovan Mitchell. Like, I don't care what he says. I saw him take a peek at where Donovan Mitchell was, and he rolled on the ankle. Okay, he that was excessive, right? So I don't care what he says. I saw it for myself. He took a peek and went rolled right onto Donovan Mitchell's foot. I thought Donovan Mitchell had every right to react with that. But yeah, big trade. Um, man, the West, wasn't scary enough. But let's talk about Brooklyn just a little bit. They're gonna rebuild. It sounds like now they have a lot of good core guys. I think you can build around. We'll see how Ben Simmons turns out. That's probably the biggest question mark now at this point.
Ain't
What
getting anything for him at
what
this
Ben
point.
Simmons will we get? Not only this year or next year, but really the rest of his career. Like, will he ever return to All-Star form? Maybe he has a chance, right? He's still young, he's still athletic, could never shoot anyway, so that's not like really part of his game. Um, I guess we'll have to see, but to me, this says I don't know, they might be priming to turn Mikal Bridges into like a superstar. Um, because if you're gonna trade, you're not gonna go after Book or DeAndre Ayton, and you're gonna go get guys. Cam Johnson is a solid piece, but he's more of a six man type of role. Uh, you better have really liked what you saw in Mikal Bridges, and maybe Brooklyn sees it and it pays off for them. Maybe they try to build around Mikal Bridges. Maybe he becomes the new superstar of Brooklyn, right? The East is relatively weaker now. They still have the three or four top teams, obviously, but the East for the rest of the that conference, I don't know, it's kind of up in the air. So I really like Mikal Bridges. I want to see if he can turn into a superstar. I don't know. Probably if his offensive game develops a little more, we know what kind of defender he is. Yeah, we'll have to see. I don't know. I don't know if they got enough. That because I was like, I mean, I know they got what, three first round picks, but
Four. They got
was
four
it
from
four? Okay,
Phoenix.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. Okay, I could see four first round picks, but even with four first round picks, you better be getting something guaranteed in return, right? Picks are only, you know, you hope they're good. You want a little bit something more solid. So maybe Mikhail turns into that guy. We'll have to see. Okay. Um, Next one. We'll get to your Blazers or our Blazers, I guess.
Our
Technically,
team.
hometown team.
It's the home team.
Hometown team. So big moves. I was kind of surprised. I'll run through these first, and then I'll give you my initial reaction. But we gave away so guys that are leaving. Josh Hart left and Gary Payton left. Right. We bring in pretty much the big name is our big names: Cam Reddish, uh, and Matisse Thybulle, right? We also got Kevin Knox, Archie Diacono, and Svi Mikhailou, and we got picks as well. So not a bad haul in return. Um, I don't know. It was weird. My initial reaction was, did we get worse? I was on like honestly, that was my initial reaction, but this team, it's been up and down, and they've struggled. So obviously they needed to make some kind of move. I really like Josh Hart. I'm kind of sad to see him
Me
go.
too. Yeah.
Um, that was a tough one. Gary Payton didn't play at all, but he played like a couple weeks for the Blazers. So, I mean, you're not losing anything really because you don't really know what you lost. But I think this team it has potential now. Cam Reddish. Hopefully we can unlock his ability. I think he's a player that a lot of people have felt, you know, just a crowded forward room in New York, right? Especially with Julius Randle leading the charge. Kind of hard for him to get minutes. So I'm hoping, he was even a guy I was hoping the Lakers would go after, to be honest. But
The 3 and D kind of player.
3 and D kind of guy, like my favorite kind of guy. He's what, like 6'9". Um, and
Long
so
arms.
long arms. He has potential. And then Matisse Thybulle, elite defender at least. He's not a great shooter. He can have a good shooting night like he did tonight, but he adds like a little bit more length. As much as I love Josh Hart, the hustle, his heart, he's really only what, like 6'5", 6'4". Matisse Thybulle gives you a solid like forward length, and elite on ball. He's probably our best on ball defender now on the team.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, he's an
that's for
all
sure.
NBA defender, right? And so, you add that, I think, I don't know. I'm like re-looking at this trade now. I'm like, maybe this just might work out. Because we still have enough offensive pieces, right? Dame and Shaden Sharp as a third option, right?
Got
Jeremy
Jeremy Grant
Jeremy
still.
Grant, sorry, he's actually the third option. Um, and then along with the explosiveness that Shaden Sharp brings, this is still a really solid roster. And the more I was like looking at it, I was like, maybe actually they did win this trade a little bit. So that was my initial reaction, Matt. What do you think?
I think, with once everything kind of took place and everything was finalized, like you kind of break down their roster. Now you start to think like, okay, you always talk about this. They need to get wings on the perimeter. Where is that Al-Farouq Aminu? Where's that Mo Harkless? We need guys like that. So now you kind of just break down their roster. Jeremy Grant from the start of the year, perfect for that. He's a plus offensive player too. So really, that's a good player. Was always known as a defensive first guy, but he's developed the offensive game. So he fits that mold. Who else? Cam Reddish, right? 3 and D player, exactly what you want with Dame and guys who can create off the ball, right? He just got to knock down those shots, but he can defend. So that's a plus on paper. And now Matisse Thybulle, all NBA defensive wing. So to me, you got 3 solid defensive wings. For the most part, all of them can at least shoot a three to at least spread the floor. Kevin Knox, don't really see a lot about him, but he has the size, he has the framework. Not the greatest shooter, but he's still a big wing. So you got 4 guys to me that can defend guys like LeBron, now KD, right? You can throw a lot of bodies at these big wing offensive players. So the more I look at it, I think, we got to see how it plays out. But on paper, they're a lot better defensively. And I think that's always been the problem with the Blazers. They can score at anybody, but they can't stop anyone from beans. So I'm hoping that, these trades can kind of come into fruition a little bit because on paper, they have the pieces now. They have those Al-Farouq Aminus, those Mo Harkless players. So I'm hoping that, you know, it'll at least get them in the play-in tournament, and then you just go from there at this point. But yeah, I kind of like this trade deadline, and they got draft picks too. Kind of a lot of second round picks. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah, they defensively, I'm looking at it, I think they look a lot better now.
They should be better. They
Should
should
be.
be.
Um, okay, well, let's get over to the other big trade. Obviously, we'll talk about my Lakers here. So, Russell Westbrook, I've enjoyed your time, I guess. Uh,
End of the era.
it was an end of the 360 era in LA. And Russ, as much as I wasn't a fan of you when you signed on, not because of who you are, not because of your even your play style necessarily. It's just fit. Like I just didn't think it was a good fit basketball wise, right? What has always worked with LeBron? Put shooters around him, right? Is West is Russ a notorious efficient 3-point shooter? No. So I didn't think it was gonna work. And it worked as best as I think it could, and I think that's what the Lakers saw, right? Like what they were getting out of Russ in that sixth man position, and he was performing well, but that's probably as well as we're gonna get, right? He's still not gonna be an efficient shooter. He'll always give it his 110%. I'm never gonna knock his effort, his drive, his motor, but just it wasn't working and we weren't winning enough, right? If we were winning enough, we're comfortably in the play in or 7, 8 seed, something like that. I don't think, this move might not get done. But the fact of the matter is the Lakers are still what the 13th seed, I believe. Uh I don't know. Something had to be done. Uh period. And credit to Rob, someone finally took that contract of Russ there, and he turned it into D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Vanderbilt looks
So
pretty good to
Vanderbilt looks
start.
pretty good. Malik Beasley, I think he's struggling a little bit right now with his shot, but and D'Angelo Russell, I think we just need a little bit more time. LeBron isn't playing yet either. That's probably the real eye test you want to see, right? When he's back on the court. Um, but other than that, I like the trade overall. We got some size, we got more shooting and ability to score one-on-one. So I don't know. I like the trade. I think it's a pretty solid trade for us. And I'm just hoping LeBron gets back soon. We get to see all that um together. And we also lost Thomas Bryant. That one kind of hurts. I really like Thomas Bryant, but it sounds like he was just unhappy with his role. Um, I mean, I don't fault him. He was performing pretty well, but I mean, let's just be honest. If AD's coming back, yeah, you're not gonna get the same amount of minutes. And so we got Devon Reed back and 3 second round picks, so not a bad haul there. And probably the most short-lived, infamous one, uh, Mr. Patrick Beverly. It just didn't work out. His defense, was still pretty good. I don't think he was the same Pat Bev defense that we're used to seeing. And I mean, offensively, I mean, just not a ton to contribute. He was shooting a little better towards the end before he got traded, but yeah, I just don't think that it was working out. So we still hold on to Dennis Schroeder. I thought that was big. Held on to Lonnie Walker, which I like, and Austin Reeves, we're able to hold on to him as well. Uh, I don't know. I think it's an interesting team now. Uh, we got some wings, got some size. We just need LeBron to come back and put all the pieces together. That that's
That's the
that's
key. You ain't
that's
going
the
anywhere
key.
without him.
Um, and I do wonder how the chemistry is gonna be with the whole Scottie Pippen and Malik Beasley thing. Like okay, honestly, we got to talk about it because it's pretty relevant to you know, team chemistry, right? Like, the, so if you don't know, Scottie Pippen Jr. is on the Lakers. He's kind of a two-way guy between the G League and the regular roster. His dad is the great Scottie Pippen, who was then married to is it Larsa Pippen?
Larsa, I think so. Yeah, that's
Larsa
their name. Larsa Pippen.
Larsa Pippen. So she got into a little entanglement, if you want to say, with now current Laker Malik Beasley. Really good shooter, but probably too good of a shooter for Scottie Pippen Jr. Anyway, we will have to see. I don't know, man. That's got to be awkward, right? Like your mom got involved with a dude that's not your teammate, left your dad for like, nah. That's got to be a little.
You
I don't
think
know.
they at least gave him a heads up?
I doubt it. but
I mean, I know he's not LeBron status, but just for, common human courtesy.
we'll have to see. Yeah, I hope it doesn't like we don't hear any outside stuff or inside the locker room stuff. D'Angelo Russell learned his lesson. He will not be recording any videos or any audio leaking it anymore. He's learned his lesson. That's why he's back in LA. He's grown up a little bit, right? So yeah, hopefully this Lakers team works out. Um I'm optimistic, but we're gonna need to start stacking some wins. We're almost at the All-Star break. We're gonna have to go on one hell of a run, I think, uh, to make the playoffs. I think it's possible. Um, but yeah, we're gonna have to see. Okay. Well, since I just brought up the All-Star game, Matt, I think we got it. I think it's time to get into our now yearly tradition, and let's do some drafting. This is gonna be a fun one.
Let's do
Uh,
this.
I'm excited for this. I will. Who had first? I was trying to remember who had the first pick last year. Um,
Who were
do
the
you
captains
remember?
last year? Was it LeBron and KD? So
It
I
was
think
LeBron and
you
KD.
you represented LeBron because Laker. I gave you that title. So I don't mind
No, I'll give
LeBron
you
and
LeBron this
Giannis.
year. I'll give you LeBron
You're
this
gonna
year.
give me LeBron this
I'll
year?
give you LeBron this year. Yeah,
Okay. So I'm
it's only
representing
fair.
LeBron.
Yes.
Okay. I was gonna give you LeBron since you're the Laker boy, but okay. Well, obviously no Steph Curry, no KD, no Zion, none of those injured guys. So we got the subs. Anthony Edwards, De'Aaron Fox, and your boy Pascal is in.
So who is gonna be the? Oh, is Giannis the new?
Giannis is the East captain.
Is the East
So it's
captain?
LeBron versus Giannis this year.
Okay, yeah. I just want to make sure. Okay, so we're not picking Durant. We're not picking. Who else did you say?
The injured guys. So no Durant, no Steph, and somebody else. Who else is injured? Somebody else.
Zion.
Zion.
Zion. Okay.
So the starters now it's Laurie Markkinen, Ja, and who am I missing? Oh, Joel Embiid. Yeah, that's the starters.
Oh, also, and De'Aaron Fox are now um
Mm-hmm.
All-Star replacements. So good for them. Happy they got
Yep.
in. Ooh,
So I
okay.
get first pick of the
And
starters, and then
it's
you
out of
get
everyone, right? Like it's not West versus East anymore, right?
yeah, yeah. But you just gotta draft the starters first, and then once the starters are all drafted, then we go to the reserves.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay. Okay. So you sure? I'll give you one more chance. You don't want
No,
LeBron.
I'll take Giannis. Give me Giannis.
Okay, you're gonna take
And
Giannis.
okay, just to make it clear to everyone, this isn't what we're predicting is gonna happen. This is like if we were drafting our own teams, who would we want? So
Okay.
just so everyone is aware. It's not a prediction. This is we're trying to make the best team possible out of these guys. So
Okay.
so
Okay.
I'll give you Mr. Scoring Champ the first pick too.
Okay. All right. So obviously I get LeBron. So I guess my first pick. Ooh, interesting. But I'm gonna go with Luka Magic.
Ooh, okay.
Luka Doncic.
Luka Doncic with the first pick. That's a solid pick. I wouldn't not hating on that one. Um, this is hard because it's like, do you draft position? Um, okay, you're gonna take it forward. I'll respond with one of my own. So maybe my strategy will just be to match. So I'll take Jason Tatum.
Match. Jason Tatum. Okay. Interesting. All right. Jason Tatum. Okay. I got LeBron and Luka. LeBron can play off the ball. Luka is on ball. But I need a two guard. So I'm gonna take Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, that's a solid pick. I could have seen that one coming.
LeBron
Um,
and Kyrie, man, they have that chemistry. And Kyrie's been balling. And he's with Luca now. So Kyrie knows both of these guys.
okay. So you're gonna take Kyrie. Hmm. Okay. You know what? Let me go with so I want some flash here. So I'm gonna go Jaw.
Okay. I saw that one coming. You got Ja. All right. You got Ja. So this is where it gets a little interesting because there's two bigs.
Well, there's really three bigs still, if you count Laurie.
Laurie. Well, let's see. I don't know how to play this though, because I can play with Donovan. But I'm gonna leave the bigs on the floor. So I'm gonna
Interesting.
go with Donovan Mitchell.
Okay. Okay. I like that. So since I'm guessing, so there's only three guys left, right? So the three bigs left, we got Joel, Jokic, and Laurie Markkinen, right? Um, I'm just gonna assume at this point I'm gonna end up with Laurie. So with that being said, man, this is a really tough one. I'm gonna go with Joel Embiid over Jokic.
Okay. I mean, both probably the two best centers in the league. Pretty debatable. But I think I got a counter with a big, so I'm gonna take Nikola Jokic to match with Joel Embiid to match or to round out my starting five.
All right, and then I'll get Laurie Markkinen. I don't hate this team. I think I have a
Me
pretty good.
too. I
I think I
like
have a
this
pretty good
team.
mix. My team is better defensively, though. I think way better. Giannis, Tatum,
I'll outscore
Embiid,
you.
but I got Giannis, Tatum, and Embiid. You know, I don't know. I think that's gonna be a
I'll outscore you.
pretty solid one. Okay. Well, anyway, that's a so. I mean, the starting fives are going to be close anyway. Now it's when it gets real interesting, right? Um. Okay. So moving on to the next round, right? So now I get the
So
first
you
pick,
got
right?
you get first pick of the reserves.
Okay. So this is gonna
This
be a
is where it
fun
gets
one.
interesting.
This one is definitely where it gets interesting. Um. So I want here, I think I'm good, pretty good defensively right now. But what do I want? I want a little bit of scoring. So I'm gonna go ahead, take Dalla. I'll
Ah,
take
shit,
Dame.
of course.
Gonna take him with the first pick of the reserves. I don't know. I think that's just a pretty easy, solid choice there for me.
Yeah, I can't argue that one there. Dame. All right. I'm between two guys on this one, but I need some wings. I like defensive wings, two-way guys. I'm gonna go with the Celtic, Jalen Brown.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
I mean,
so
he's literally a two-way player. His offensive game is just blossoming at this point.
Jalen Brown off the board. Okay. I'm gonna just stick with a guy I think is really coming into his own right now. Um, Another guard. I'm gonna take Shea.
Okay.
I think with doing what he's doing with that Thunder team, and he's averaging 31 a game right now. So I just gotta give him a ton of credit for how he's playing.
All right. You got Shea. So I'm gonna stick with some shooting and some wings. I'm gonna take the veteran. Paul George.
Okay, PG.
PG 13.
I like that one.
Got my
Okay.
wing defenders.
Well, if you want to talk about wing defenders, I'm going to talk about probably one of the most underrated wing defenders on here, and that is NBA champion Pascal Siakam. Been there, done that.
I know you like Pascal.
Averaging 25 points, 6 assists, and 8 boards. So, he's putting up the numbers for Toronto, and he's a, solid defensive player. So I think he's, arguably could match Paul George in two-way effectiveness.
All right, I like that. I like that. Okay. So with the NBA being a pretty guard-centric league now, small ball, I'm gonna go with a first-time All-Star, Tyrese Halliburton.
Ooh, I like Tyrese. Can't go wrong with Tyrese. I think he's pretty solid.
It's like my backup point guard right there. I like that guy who can shoot, long arms.
Okay. Um, Looking at my team, I just have a little bit of everything. I mean, but you know what? Just so I think I'm gonna stay on a little bit more of the bolstering my, I want to bolster the second unit defense just a little bit. So I'm gonna take probably the best defender out of the reserves. At least that's a big, and I'm gonna go with Bam.
Damn. Okay. All right. So you got a athletic defensive big. So I'll counter that. I'll say with Jaren Jackson
Jaren
Jr.,
Jackson
Mr.
Jr.
NBA leader in blocks.
Okay. I still would take Bam. I still like him a little bit more.
Bam's been there before, but hey, he leads the NBA in blocks. You
Mm-hmm.
can't go wrong with that. Anchoring that second unit defense.
Okay. Okay. You know what? I want a little bit more flash since we're going with the flash. I'm gonna go with probably, I don't know. I mean, I know all these guys are athletic, but to me, this guy is just a little bit different. I'm gonna go with Ant. First time
Okay.
All-Star Anthony
Ant Man,
Edwards. Yeah.
as Giannis says, that's a good pick.
I mean, you really can't go wrong. These guys are all studs.
All stars for a reason. All right. See, I'm kind of all right. You know what? I need some size. I'm gonna stay a little big here, so I'm gonna take Sabonis.
Okay.
He's had a breakout year this year. Solidified my bigs off the bench.
Okay. Ooh, now it's getting interesting. All right. Um, a little bit of scoring. All my guys can kind of shoot. Let's see. Okay. You know what? What am I doing on size? All right. I'm gonna go ahead and take. You know what? Give me Julius Randle. I wanna match up with you. So I'll take
Need a big.
Julius.
All right, bigs. All right. So we got
3 guys
I
left.
got three guys on the board left, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so there's DeMar, Drew Holiday,
DeMar,
and
Drew
De'Aaron
Holiday.
Fox.
Yeah.
Okay. So with two of them being point guards, I'm gonna take the last wing and DeMar DeRozan,
Okay.
Mr.
And
Mid Range.
you know what? Even though this guy's a point guard, all NBA, I'm sticking with my solid defense. Give me Drew. Probably the best guard
Sure.
defender
All
out
right.
of all these all stars. He can
All right. So
clamp any of
that
your guys
leaves me
one on
with
one.
De'Aaron Fox.
Yep.
All right. I mean, it's an all-star draft. I'm okay with this.
I don't know. I think I like my team a lot.
I like this team. I like this team. I got a
Honest.
very offensive heavy first unit, but got my defenders on the bench. I like it.
Okay. This is a solid draft. Good
We can
draft.
do a poll, see who
Yeah, that's
which
what I was
team
thinking. I might
everyone
do a
likes.
we should do a some kind of post where we just put all like your team, my team, and then who won the or which team do you like more? So that would be interesting. I think we both got some pretty solid guys. I mean, there's really no losers here, right? Um, yeah. I wonder if you can run like a 2K simulation. That'd be pretty funny. Okay. Well, that was always fun, Matt. I really want to see how it goes this weekend because I think the live draft is gonna be
That's gonna be crazy.
hilarious. Um, yeah, it'll be fun for sure. Uh, I don't know. I can't like LeBron and Giannis are just gonna be laughing the whole time drafting guys. I think it's gonna be so funny. Um, okay, well,
There's gonna be
anyway,
blood probably with someone.
I can imagine. I wonder if all
Fox
the
for
guys are
whoever's
gonna be in
last
the
pick.
room too. Like the other guys are gonna be in the room. I don't know how they're gonna
They
do it.
should. That would be funny.
That'd be so funny. It's gonna be like it's legit like stand in a line kind of thing, and like you
It's like
pick your
playing at
guy.
recess and you pick
Yeah.
your guy.
Oh, that's gonna be. Imagine the last pick. Okay, like if we're being honest, who do you think's gonna be the last pick? Like it's gotta be either Drew, Darren, or
Nah, I don't
Sabonis,
think it's gonna be
maybe.
Drew. I think Drew might go first.
What?
Cause
Really?
cause cause
Oh,
Giannis has the
Giannis.
first pick
Oh
of
no,
the
you're right. No,
reserves.
you're right. You're
So
right.
he's gonna
Giannis,
take his
he's
buddy.
gonna take his guy early. Yeah. I don't know who's gonna be the last
I
pick.
would say
Siakam, maybe. Tyrese.
Jaren Jackson. Nobody likes the
Jaren could
Grizzlies, right?
could be Jaren Jackson. Yeah, definitely.
I'll say Jaren Jackson.
You think that's
No
gonna
one
be
likes
it?
the Grizzlies because no one likes the Grizzlies.
I mean,
I'm gonna say the villain. That's why.
okay, fine. I don't know who's. I feel bad though. Whoever's
Yeah,
last
I
pick,
know. That
they're gonna get
sucks.
clowned. Like Laurie's probably gonna be the last pick of the starters, right? For being
Yeah,
honest.
I would
So,
say.
but don't worry, Laurie. You earned it. Okay. Well, that was a fun one, Matt. Uh, gonna wrap up this segment here, and then we'll get to our Hawaii basketball, round it out. But that was a fun one. So, everyone stick around, and we'll. Okay. So, end of the pod, Matt. Talked about a lot as usual. Why don't you round us out here? Some UH basketball.
Yeah. So UH had another homestand this week in conference. Not a great showing. I'll say that. Thursday night had a game against UC San Diego, um, a team that's really not well. They're not even eligible. Let's just say for the postseason because they're a new Division One team, so they have to sit out of the tournament for the first 2 years. So they don't even qualify. But they're a lower tier Big West team. Coming into UH is always tough to get a win, but it was pretty ugly. UH was trailing at the half 35-29. Pretty sloppy. A lot of turnovers in this game was the key. But the second half, UH turned it up. Thank goodness. Avoided that disastrous home loss that we don't want at this point. But they ended up winning 69-62. But really, the story of this game, um, kind of his breakout game, but we got contributions off the bench in this game. And that came by Mr. Cody Williams. So probably don't know who that is, to be honest, but Cody Williams is now probably the backup point guard to Javon McClanahan. Has kind of overtaken Justice Jackson at this point in the rotation. But he had a really, really critical game. 6 points off the bench. Nothing too crazy, but you could definitely feel his impact. Watching that game in the Stan Strip Center, like the crowd was getting behind him, and I would say his play, he had an and one layup, like totally faked out the defense with his pass, drove to the basket hard, got fouled, uh, gave us the lead, and then we never turned back from there. So his energy off the bench was huge, and that's what UH really needs, I think. We're very reliant on our starters, so it's always about, we need one or two guys off the bench to give us a boost. And especially in this game, no Beon Riley, didn't even dress, is kind of nursing a lower leg injury, so it's not looking good for him. So it was nice to see we got guys like Cody Williams and also Harry Ruliadev off the bench. Finally got his 3-point shot going. So those two combined for 14 points, which is really nice to see. But in the second half, uh, got to give credit to Samuta Avea.
Samuta, it
Now,
was the
in
Samuta
the
show
it
down
was
the
Samuta
stretch.
show exactly the first half, and I always say this about Samuta, but I cannot stand when he takes jump shots. I just cannot, because when Samuta is attacking the basket, he is tough to stop inside. Like, I know it's kind of going a little over the top, but it's kind of like LeBron, right? When LeBron puts his head down and just says, "Let me get to the basket," can't really stop him. And it's kind of the same style with Samuta. If he plays inside, plays in the post, is cutting to the basket, getting to the free throw line, not settling for jumpers, that is when Samuta is at his best. And obviously, he can throw down that flashy dunk, an explosive dunk. But Samuta, have to give him credit in the second half. I don't know what it was because he was just mentally out of it in the first half, but he was playing inside in the second half, and he literally put the team on his back in
He
that late
locked
game
in.
stretch. And the thing that I liked was, he was getting inside, and you feed off of that. And that's when, if you're Samuta, you have your confidence, take the three. And he hit that huge three late in the game to
That was
kind
a
of give
big
us
three.
some space for a 5-point lead. I thought that was huge. So that's the Samuta Avea we need. We really need that Samuta going into especially the conference tournament. But really happy for him. Noel Coleman had 5 threes, pretty good game for him, but still a little shaky. But it was nice to see finally Samuta Avea get going. So they ended up hanging on to win that game. But then the real test came on Saturday against the defending Big West champs, Cal State Fullerton, and it was just a ugly performance. So UH comes out of the gate 6-0, minute and a half. They hit their first 2 threes. That was basically it for the first half. I mean, 4 for 24 in the first half total. They shot 16%. That is atrocious. They ended up with 15 points at the half. Like, I don't even know how to explain what I saw. Like, that was just awful. Like, I just there's just no explanation. And they just needed to make that adjustment. And UH always does this. Like, I always tell Hunter this. Like, they just think they're the Golden State Warriors sometimes. Like, why do you just keep jacking up threes when you guys aren't making it? Like, when you're struggling shooting, you want to get to the basket, get an easy layup, get to the free throw line. But Hawaii does not shoot a lot of free throws. They don't attack the basket. They just shoot a lot of threes to me. And when you're struggling, that's just about the worst thing you can do. But credit to UH and Naranganat. Second half, they did come back, make it a game. Kamaka Hepa got hot from the 3-point line. So that was really, he was kind of key in the comeback. I'm always pretty harsh on Kamaka just because of his size, his talent. I need to see more inside game, but kind of hard to debate, when he's shooting the 3 ball well, to keep going inside because you got to ride the hot hand. So he was feeling it from the outside. Samuta had a pretty nice game. Didn't shoot the ball great, but had 17 rebounds. That's pretty insane. But man, the guys who really struggled to me, Jovan, 1 of 11 from the field, just like yikes. You know, hard to say and blame Jovan for this loss because he's kind of the MVP of this team this year, kind of the savior of Hawaii basketball, you could say. But he was not good. Had a lot of bad turnovers. Noel Coleman he's just not the same this year. I think teams are really figuring out how to take him away, and they're making other guys beat him off the dribble or from the 3-point line. So yeah, Noel Coleman, I'm starting to get a little bit concerned about his play. Um, but I think for me, the key in this second half, and I think UH needs to consider doing this, but Iran Ganat finally said the hell with Bernardo da Silva in this game. just not making an impact. Picked up his fourth foul, didn't see the floor for the rest of the game. He went small with Kamaka Hepa. You bring in Justice Jackson, bring in Cody Williams, you play small. And I think with that, it allowed the UH to spread the floor. And it got them easy drives, a little bit easier time getting to the basket. So I think that's something that, yeah, we did lose, but if they can kind of stay with that, you know, for teams that really clamp down the paint, stretch the floor. Kamaka can play the five. So I think that's something that we need to keep doing, for the rest of the season, especially. And it's unfortunate we did lose by one. Um, we had the last shot, actually three chances. So Jovan ends up taking a pretty tough contested fadeaway. Hepa misses the tip. Somehow Avila, the ball finds him, shoots a short jumper. We end up losing. So pretty sour way to lose. But UH, it's getting a little nerve wracking, I will say. I don't think we're gonna get that first seed in the regular season. So now it's about seeding. We got to stay out of the 7 through 10 spots because those teams have to play an additional game in the Big West tournament, and you don't want that. You want the easiest route possible. And luckily, UH didn't really lose any ground, but if they do lose 1 or 2 games in a row, like that could be trouble. So that's the bad part. And they go on the road this week. They play Long Beach State, which is huge right now because they have the same record in conference. So it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough, and they gotta win honestly every game at this point. So I'm just praying UH can just figure it out offensively because they always go on these cold stretches, give up big runs, and if you want to win a Big West championship, you can't be doing that, especially against a good team. So yeah, we gotta be a lot better, and Ganot needs to be able to make adjustments quicker to me, and don't just rely on Javon sometimes. I think they're a little too reliant on Javon. Cody Williams has been playing well. Justice Jackson, I know he doesn't get the minutes, but he's still talented and he can make some plays off the dribble. So we got to give those guys a little bit more opportunity in the game. So that's a tough UH week. So I'm just hoping that they survive and don't have to play a first round game in the Big West tournament this year.
Yeah, hopefully we finish strong.
6 more games to
Still got,
go.
yeah, and I will go to one of those. So
There's only 2 home games left. I'm just
okay, well,
saying.
I'll go to one of them. All right. Well, thanks, Matt. That was a good recap. Why don't you go ahead? You can round us out here. Take us to our sports fact of the day.
All right. So we are recording on February 13th. So let's just keep it simple. Last year, February 13th, 2022 was the Super Bowl last year with the LA Rams getting that second Super Bowl over the Cincinnati Bengals. 23-20, the game that Greg called so perfectly.
Yep.
And Mr. MVP, my fantasy receiver last year, Cooper Kupp, wasn't on my team this year, got injured, but he had an outstanding season last year and capped it off with a Super Bowl MVP. So 1 year ago, man, the Rams were on cloud nine. Now they're just rotting in hell. Honestly, what a difference a year makes
What a
for the
difference
Rams.
a year makes. I agree. Okay. Well, Matt, this is a fun one. We got to talk about a lot. It's gonna get a little slower now, I think. We'll talk a lot of basketball, a lot of off-season stuff. Then we got spring training right around the corner, but it's a good football run, Matt, that always carries pretty much the bulk of our pod for how many weeks? 20 something weeks now? 20, 24, 25 weeks. Um
Yeah,
20,
I
20
think so.
something,
Over
20
20
some,
weeks.
over
I will
20
say
weeks.
that.
So wait a little bit. But we will be back. And oh, I know we didn't talk about it, but I don't know if you watch UFC. There's a great UFC fight this weekend. Had the number one pound for pound versus the number two. Um Alex Volkanovski unfortunately lost because I had money on him. Uh but yeah. I want to talk. Maybe we'll talk more UFC as it comes up. Max is fighting again this year, so we'll talk about his
Yep.
fight when it comes
We
around.
got to follow our local fighter.
Yes. Anyway, yeah, it was a good show, Matt. Uh, thanks everyone for listening, and we will catch you guys next week.